Kicking back on this summer breeze. Welcome to Double K's Classroom. Class is officially in session.
The following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Hello, y'all, and welcome to this week's edition of Double K's Classroom, where I bring you sports from basically my point of view. Um, I try to talk to you this day about one of my favorite subjects and one I haven't been able to talk to you about in a long time, and that is pro football, professional football. The last time I spoke to you, I was a little bit disappointed. That's right, disappointed because my boys, the San Francisco 49ers, did not win the Super Bowl. They were in the Super Bowl, but they did not win the Super Bowl, and that disappointed me. Um, but needless to say, I've had my time. I've gotten over it. I am glad to say that you know what, I like my team's chances for this year to come back and try to make an impact and possibly even get to another Super Bowl themselves. Um, the 49ers came into this season after trading DeForest Buckner. But here was the thing. They came in and they had a lot of people that were coming off of IR, that were coming off of that did not play last year. So they looked at it and they said to themselves, "What can we do to make our team better?" They traded Buckner for the number 13 pick in the draft. Then proceeded to use that pick to to draft a young stud interior defensive lineman Javon Kinlaw. Uh, this boy should add to a defensive line that was one of the strongest in the NFL last year, led by rookie, now no longer rookie, Nick Bosa. Um, he'll be sided with Javon Kinlaw. DJ Jones is tapped to start a right defensive tackle. Now, I personally think this should be Solomon Thomas or it should be Ari Armstead with D Ford as your starters. So Nick Bosa, right now it's Nick Bosa, Javon Kinlaw, DJ Jones, and Ari Armstead with D Ford running back up to Armstead at the right defensive end spot and Thomas running back up to Jones at the defensive tackle spot. Like I said, I genuinely think that it should be Bosa to give it the best shot. It should be Bosa, Kinlaw, Armstead, and Ford, and then put Solomon Thomas backing up both the right defensive tackle and the right defensive end spot. Um, and then DJ Jones backing up Javon Kinlan at the second at the left defensive tackle. I think that would give us that would give them the strongest front. But Raheem Mostert knows his shit, so that's your starting defensive line, and I'll accept that. We'll see how they'll do on Sunday. Let's see. At middle linebacker, you got the trio of Quan Alexander, Fred Warner, and Dre Greenlaw that wreaked havoc last year, backed up by Al Aziz Hajar, Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, and Mark Nezek. Nijoka, I think his name is. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry, I probably butchered that name. But yeah, so those three will be manning the field, and Ken Alexander is probably one of the best side to side linebackers there is out there. Sideline to sideline linebackers there is. Fred Warner was a beast last year and only looks to get better this year. Same thing with Dre Greenlaw. Both of them were. Fred Warner, I believe, was a first round pick by the Niners or mid round pick by the Niners, and same thing with Dre Greenlaw. So I think the production that they got out of the linebackers last year should be equaled this year, if not improved upon. In the backfield, you got manned by perennial All-Pro cornerback Richard Sherman, Jaquiski Tart at the strong safety, who just got a recent raise, and Jimmy Ward, who was one of the best safeties in the league last year, and I think can continue to get better. Then they say it's tapped for Emmanuel Mosley to start. I had heard that Jason Verrett may have worked his way into that second spot. He showed some signs during training camp, but it shows him here is questionable. So let's see. Let's see what's wrong with Mr. Verrett. His status is active. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like he should be playing. So, if as long as he's healthy, I think that he'll make an impact. He was a first round pick out of TCU in 2014. He played for the Chargers for a while, and has spent the past 2 years with the Niners. I think that he adds some depth and can play that nickel cornerback position as well. They bring back Robbie Gold as the kicker, Wisnowski as the punter. Dante Pettis, we'll get to him on that wide receiving core, are going to have to step up early. Um, they're going to have to step up early in the year and cover the loss of Debo Samuel for at least the first game. They removed him off of the injured list, so he was eligible to practice, but he didn't practice much this season or this week leading up to tomorrow or day after tomorrow's game. Um, but the lineup the Niners will have when they are completely healthy will start with should be considered elite quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, followed back by Nick Mullins and C.J. Beathard, just like it was last year. Uh, New starting running back with Raheem Mostert taking that spot. Tevin Coleman, who I believe started last year on the injured list, um, was able to come in as the second string running back, and then you got Jerick McKinnon, who's coming back from a major injury, ACL injury. That's the third down back that the 49ers are going to need, lining up in the slot. He can do what guys like Dalvin Cook and those guys can do. So yeah. We'll see what he can do this year. He reworked his contract so he can stay another year. And then you got Jeff Wilson Jr., who showed how special he was the few times that he was brought in off the bench last season. Uh, let's see. At first wide receiver, he's out right now, but Debo Samuel, backed up by Trent Taylor, Travis Benjamin opted out, Jalen Hurd is on the IR. Wide receivers where they've had some serious injuries. Kendrick Bourne is slotted as the second wide receiver with Dante Pettis behind him, who I think could have a huge year if given a spot, if given a shot, with Debo Samuel out. Chris Thompson is on the IR, and then rookie Brandon Ayuk is questionable for the game. He suffered a day injury and was day-to-day, backed up by Ricky James, and Tavon Austin is on the IR. So I think the 49ers brought in a lot of running receivers this year to try to push their young guys and also to make up for a lot of the injuries that were happening during the workouts. Um, at tight end, they just inked 5 years, 75 million. The big boy George Kittle, followed by a discount All Pro tight end in Jordan Reed, and then back him up with Ross Dwelly and the rookie Charlie Warner out of Georgia. Man, this team is going to be raw. I'm telling you, at the tight end room, even Trent Williams had to go as far as to say that they were one of the best tight end rooms he thinks in football. Now, speaking of that, he's the newest guy to the offensive line. Trent Williams taking over for the now retired Joe Staley. Lakin Tomlinson secured his spot as the starting left guard with Colton McKivitz backing him up. Justin School backing up Trent Williams. Brent Garland, who is questionable, it would be starting for Weston Richburg. And Jake Brendel is out as well. Like I said, a lot of injuries for this 49ers team. Daniel Brunskill got the starting right guard spot over Tom Compton. And McGlinchey, of course, got the right tackle starting position with Sean Coleman, who's currently out, backing him up. So this team was good last year. Like, I believe it was it was the number like 2 rushing defense. It was top 15 in passing offense, and didn't commit a lot of turnovers. They did have one bad game where they committed 5, but didn't commit a lot of turnovers. I expect this offense to only get better this year, especially once completely healthy. When you've got Samuel, Bourne, and Ayuk out there, it's going to be dangerous. With Trent Taylor and Dante Pettis coming off the bench, yeah, it's going to be extremely dangerous. So keep an eye on them 49ers. Next up, we're going to talk a little Las Vegas Raiders. All right, so Vegas is the new home for what was the Oakland Raiders. But unfortunately, Mark Davis is a bastard and decided to take the team to Las Vegas. And so, yeah, I don't even know what to say about that, man. Like, other than the fact that now the Bay belongs to the Niners, there is nobody to challenge. There is nobody to challenge them at all. They are the bomb. They are the Bay. But yeah, so Vegas, Allegiant Stadium though is a sick ass stadium. I cannot deny anything about that as far as the design and look of that stadium. I hope to one day go to Vegas and actually go see a game there. But other than that, let's take a look at what the Raiders are going to be working with. Looks like Derek Carr, of course, keeps his starting job. There's a lot of people who thought Marcus Mariota may come in and take it from him, but Mariota is now on IR, so it doesn't look like he's taking anything from anybody. Nathan Peterman ended up with the backup role, former Buffalo Bill. Y'all remember him. Josh Jacobs is your starting running back with Jalen Richard behind him, Devontae Booker behind him. Henry Ruggs III is the number 1 receiver with Zay Jones behind him. Tyrell Williams is on the IR. Hunter Renfrow is the number 2 receiver with Nelson Aguilar behind him. I thought they cut Aguilar, but I may be wrong about that. Brian Edwards would be their 3rd receiver with Rico Galford behind him. At the tight end position, the Raiders are looking pretty good with Darren Waller, Foster Moreau. Jason Witten is the 3rd string tight end. Wow. Talk about being along for the ride. And Derek Carrier is the 4th string tight end. John Gruden does like to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, but wow, Jason Witten is the 3rd tight end. Like, he didn't even make the first 2. Wow. So at starting left tackle, you got the young Raider Colton Miller, followed by Brandon Parker as his backup. Then you go to Richie Incognito, the man who's revived his career since coming back to since coming to the Raiders organization. Followed by John Simpson. Rodney Hudson is the man, the all-pro lineman anchoring the center position with Andre James behind him. Gabe Jackson at the right guard, and then Trent Brown at the right tackle. This team did pretty damn good last season. Like, last year, they pretty much, what was it? There it is, team. They averaged about 20 points a game. They got to get their defense has got to get better, which we'll talk about in a minute. They scored 37 touchdowns. Like the team wasn't that bad. Like almost 4,000 net passing yards, almost 2,000 yards rushing. Like team was not bad at all. It was just a bad situation or bad luck in the sense of their defense just never showed up when they needed them to. And that's just the bottom line to it. The defense never showed up when they needed them to. Now this year, that defense is going to need to do that. But I think because I believe that Josh Jacobs and Henry Ruggs to open up the top of the field will give Derek Carr a better chance to look like an even better quarterback this year. More look like that almost MVP year for Carr when the Raiders, I believe, went 12 and 4 or something like that under Jack Del Rio. Yeah. Next, on the defensive end, you got on the line, you got Clelin Ferrell, Arden Key behind him, and Jeremiah Volaga is out. Malik Collins at defensive tackle position with Maurice Hurst behind him, Kendall Vickers behind him, Jonathan Hankins at the right defensive tackle with Daniel Ross behind him, and then Max Crosby, followed by Carl Nassib and Kendall Vickers as well at the right end position. I think they're a solid defensive team as far as up front. Hankins is pretty good against the run, and Crosby has a lot of potential to be a strong candidate as far as top defensive lineman for the AFC. So expect Crosby to have a breakout year. Follow behind them at the linebacker position, you have Corey Littleton at the weak linebacker, Nick Kawakowski at the middle linebacker, and Nicholas Morrow at the soft side linebacker, followed by Raekwon Millen at the middle linebacker position and Kyle Wilber at the soft side. I think the Raiders are going to struggle in this particular area. I think this is where they struggled last year. The guys will be a year better, but I don't know if they'll be enough to be able to get them over the hump. We'll talk about what my predictions are a little bit later. At the cornerback position, you start with Damon Arnett at the left cornerback position, followed by Lamarcus Joyner, Amik Robertson, and Isaiah Thompson. Jonathan Abram at the strong safety position, followed by Jeff Heath, and then free safety Eric Harris, followed by Trayvon Mullen at the right cornerback position, Keyshawn Nixon behind him, and a couple more people who are on the IR. The Raiders seem to be having a similar problem to the 49ers when it comes to people being on the IR, but I believe that once again, this defense will pull it together enough to be able to win the Raiders. And I'll tell you later. Let's see. They have place kicker Daniel Carson, and then punter AJ Cole. Kick return, or Renfro is going to do the kick return or punt returns with Jalen Richard doing kick returns. So, let's take a look here. So I'm going to give you some serious thoughts on something real quick, and that is pretty much what the season's going to be like without fans. I'm going to tell you this right now. I think where they're making a mistake is doing the whole fake crowd noise thing. I would rather see half empty stadiums than hear fake crowd noise. And I'd be honest with you, I'd rather hear nothing but the announcers than hear fake crowd noise. But that's just me. Like y'all may not agree with me, but that's just me. I just don't think that I could do fake crowd noise. So that's going to be hard for me. But I'll still watch, and I think it's going to be fun to watch, and I think the boys are going to be out there having fun. And I think that's what's going to matter the most, is that they're going to be out there having fun. So I think it's going to be a weird season without fans. Hopefully by about mid-season we'll be able to start having fans again. They're kind of taking it. They don't even know if they're going to play in California at this point with the fact that basically the entirety of the West Coast is on fire right now. I hope you guys are safe out there wherever you're listening from. Yeah, the entirety of the earth, of the West Coast is just in flames. So the 49ers don't know if they're going to play based off of air quality. It depends on what happens with that. They may have to move the game or postpone the game and do something else with it. All right. So that's it for right now. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll come back. And I'll give you my thoughts on each of the Raiders and the Niners games for this weekend, as well as the Seahawks game, and then give you a quick update on the NBA playoffs as we're almost at the conference finals. So I'll talk to you then. Peace. You are listening to Double K's Classroom right here on the 4Aces Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Hey, listener, Dutch here from Voice from the Underground, the podcast. My co-host and I want to invite you to check out our little corner of the podcast verse. At Voice from the Underground, we talk about all the crazy happening around us and try to make a little bit of sense out of the nonsense with little to no results. If the idea of hearing three semi-intelligent, outspoken nerds talk about politics, social issues, current events, sports, movies, pretty much anything that we decide to talk about because, well, it's our show, appeals to you, grab your shovel and come on down to the underground, and then consult a qualified psychotherapist. Find us wherever you get your podcasts, just not where you buy your weed.
Voice from the Underground.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
All right. I'm going to keep these kind of predictions a little bit short and a little bit sweet for your sake and for mine. But we open up on Sunday at 1:25 with the 49ers taking on the Cardinals. I believe it's in Arizona. No. It's supposed to be in San Francisco, but we'll see. The Cardinals are a team that gave the Niners fits last year, and most of that was because of Kyler Murray, and this kid's only going to be a year better this year. So it's going to it's going to be a year better this year. But the key thing to it is that defense is also going to be a year better, and like Nick Bosa said in an article in NBC Sports Bay Area a couple days ago. They think they kind of have a little figure out how to contain them. Not necessarily how to beat them, but definitely how to contain them. So if they can figure that out, I believe that this can be a game in which the Niners dominate. Like on my fantasy team, I started Garoppolo over Kyler just because I like the matchup of Arizona's defense versus Jimmy Garoppolo over Kyler Murray versus that 49ers defense. That 49ers defense is going to be amazing this year. Mark my words. So I get the 49ers winning 28-17 in this one. Kyler Murray and them give it a valiant effort. I believe I think they'll even keep it close up till half. But after that, the Niners will take over and they'll get their W. So, and it doesn't look like Deebo Samuel's going to play this week, but I expect Dante Pettis to have a step-up game. All right, next up, we have the Raiders taking on the Panthers, and I believe it's in Oakland. No, I believe it's in Carolina, sorry. And check that real quick. Yeah, it's in Carolina, so the game will be played. The Raiders are just... I think the Panthers with no Cam are not as vicious. Like, yeah, they did well last year with Kyle Allen, but I believe they traded him away. Teddy Bridgewater, I think you're going to make them better. I think you're going to make them competitive, but I think this game belongs to the Raiders 28-21. So the Raiders are a team that I expect to start out hot. I I'll say this: I don't necessarily expect them to make the playoffs, but we'll see how that changes as the season goes along. Um, right now, I expect the Raiders to play well early, and the Panthers are just the team to feast to them and give to them on opening weekend. Next up, you got the Falcons taking on the Seahawks. The Falcons and the Seahawks are two teams that are straight, uh, that are just straight killing it. The Seahawks are a team that went out and got Jamal Adams. I think that their defensive line is going to have some issues. I think that their D line is going to have to find its young stud to anchor it, because they lost Deion Jordan, they lost Jadeveon Clowney, who signed with the Titans. Like, they lost a lot of heads, but luckily first up they got the Falcons. So I expect the Seahawks to pull off this victory unless the Falcons just come out of nowhere. Even though I have Julio Jones in my fantasy lineup, I expect him to do well, but I expect the Falcons to lose this game. Somewhere around the range of like 21-17, something like that. Just because the Seahawks are just too good. They were within 1 inch of taking the 1 seed from the 49ers last year. I think they'll keep it close long enough for that game between San Francisco and Seattle late in the season to matter. So, all right, y'all. So the last thing I promised was an update on the NBA playoffs. And right now, the Clippers and Nuggets are playing. Let's see. Oh no, sorry, they're not playing right now. Let's see. Over in the Eastern Conference, the Heat have made their way to the Eastern Conference Finals, beating the Bucks 4-1. Giannis got hurt midway through the season, or midway through the series. Let's see. The Raptors and the Celtics are actually playing Game 7 right now. So let's see what that score is. Oh, Nuggets beat the Clippers. Let's see. Was this today? Yeah. Nuggets beat the Clippers to close to within 3-2. And Boston beats the Raptors, dropping the defending champs to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. So much for all that talk for all those Raptors fans about them repeating, huh? So it's going to be Boston and Miami. Oh, that's going to be a heck of an Eastern Conference Finals right there. And then you got the Lakers, who pretty much are a lock. They're up 3-1 to beat the Rockets and advance to the next round. They play their game tomorrow on September 12th. And the Clippers now lead the Nuggets 3-2 in the series. They don't play, or they play again tonight. Or they're playing right now, or I don't know. It says they play Game 5 on September 11th, so yeah, 3-2. Okay. Clippers need Nuggets 3-2. So they'll be playing a Game 6 on the 13th on Sunday. That should be interesting. Should be extremely interesting. So I would say it's probably going to be the Clippers and the Lakers. But the Lakers having a little bit more rest, they're going to come out hard. But the Clippers will adjust, and I think it's going to be Clippers going to the finals. But we'll see. We'll see. So overall, thank y'all for listening in. Hope y'all enjoyed this week's edition of Double K's Classroom. I was happy to bring it to you. And we'll see you next week with a little K Double's 5th period music class. We're going to be doing musicals again, so we're going to be doing Les Mis. And be sure to join us on Sunday for Cheap Pop Podcast, where we're going to talk about a little bit about Thor, Love and Thunder, a little bit about Legend of Korra Season 3. You know, fun stuff. Join me and Alpha on Sunday at 5 p.m. That'll be our next show. Tomorrow, we have Mr. Deacon's Experience, and then Sunday morning, Inspire Radio, Brick on Sunday afternoon, and then Cheap Pop and Now versus Then on Sunday night. Monday is Dirty Talk time. Wednesdays are for Kings and Queens of Porn and Lip Gloss and Mics. Thursdays are for Miss Toy, who just recently had the Saint on. You should go listen to that episode. It was great. And back to me on Friday with the musicals in K-Double's 5th period music class. Till then, y'all. Peace.